Kia ora, Berry Babes. Welcome back to another Berry Babes podcast, a space where we go beyond the surgery, beyond the scales, and into the mindset, habits, and heart of what it really takes to live your best life after weight loss surgery. I'm your host, Lauren Pete, bariatric nurse specialist, mindset coach, and someone who's walked this journey just like you. The messy parts, the healing, and everything in between. This episode is one that's going to hit close to home today. To have you here and listening to all things Lauren Maree and everything bariatric that we have to chat about. It's been a while since I recorded one, so it's exciting to get back into it. And Maree and I were actually just chatting before I started recording. And Maree has had an experience that a lot of you can probably relate to, particularly if you've had a bypass, around dumping. And it's really interesting from her perspective how things are going, because she's made a lot of lifestyle changes lately, as you'll hear, and her experience is kind of amplified a little bit. So it's really interesting to hear what she has to say. Do you want to share what happened, Maree?
Oh, yeah, sure. Thanks, Lauren. So it was like the worst dumping that I have had. It definitely felt, so it started on Friday night. So that was when I ate what I shouldn't have quite eaten. So it was a ready-made meal, which is fine. And it was chicken and veggies, but there was mashed potatoes, there was gravy on there. And then I did have a few of the caramel cream puffs, which is so delicious. And afterwards I felt very full, so I was not focused while I was eating, so I was not listening to any of my full cues, and then especially after an hour, I really felt that I was quite full, like quite uncomfortably full. Then I went to bed because it was also later at night as well, so I was really not focused. Then I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and I could feel not great. And then I woke up at 7:30 in the morning and I really felt bad, and the full dumping came. And then that whole Saturday was just like a really bad hangover. And I haven't drank for over 4 years, but in the bad hangovers as well. And the one that lasts the next day, like, because I'm a little older now. So it lasts like, a couple of days. And I was just kind of on the couch. I had to have the aircon on because the fan was not enough. And I've only got a fan in my room. And felt awful. Awful the whole weekend. But I think, it was much worse having them because I haven't been having that much sugar. And I'm unsure exactly what it was or whether it was just everything kind of combined. But it was definitely awful. So awful. And I just remember thinking, I should have just got on the piss last night because I'm dealing with that.
Yeah, you got all the consequences without the fun side.
Yeah. So, oh man, was it rough?
Oh, and I tell you what, like, just our bodies after surgery, you and I are a few years out now, so it's not even like we're baby bariatrics, but just some of the stuff sneaks up on you. I know for me, about a week ago, I we'd kind of done dinner quite late. We ended up doing other stuff in the evening, and it just didn't really happen. We'd fed the kids and stuff, but kind of got later, and I was like, oh, actually, I do want something. So I ended up having a bit of toast with some cream cheese and pesto, and then cheese on top and melted. It was really good, great protein. Obviously carbs off the bread, but I'm not anti-carbs. Just FYI for anyone that's listening, I'm not anti-carbs. It's just making sure it's in moderation. And so anyway, I had that, and it was quite late, and no, it was not good. I don't get dumping, so obviously, so I didn't get dumping. But I ate too close to bed, and within half an hour of going to sleep, the reflux, and I literally was breathing in acid. It was horrendous.
Oh no!
And then to the point that I ended up vomiting because it was just awful, absolutely awful. And burnt throat for the next day. I was like, oh no, this does not feel nice. But yeah, absolutely horrific. So there is a dark side to bariatric surgery that old Lauren before I had surgery wouldn't have even had that issue, but because stomach's so small and everything's digesting, and then you lie down and hello, everything's burning, and it felt like I breathed in acid, like literally, not fun. It's coughing and eyes were watering, all the things, and I was,
It's
not
quite
fun.
gross, eh? Like, because it's like you just feel, ugh. It hurts, but
Yeah.
it's gross.
Yeah, it was not fun. So yeah, you guys have just got the front and center of some of the realness after surgery, and like I regret eating late in the evening, but I don't regret having surgery. But I just,
No.
and I feel like we know these things, like we know what is going to set us up for failure in terms of this stuff. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be okay. It'll be fine. And no, no, it doesn't. It doesn't end
Yeah.
well. And you live your life in regret. Luckily, it didn't last the whole weekend for me, Maree. I think I was feeling better kind of 3 o'clock that day, but it still was. There's still consequences, and probably my esophagus is probably still healing from all the burny burn.
Oh,
Oh, no.
it's crazy. But yeah, it's just really interesting, I think, though, because it's, all those times, not all those times, but the times that I've had dumping, it's just never been to this extent, like, and it's just yeah. So I do think it's because I've been eating better, and just which is amazing. And yeah, it just hit me harder. Because I was just like,
Yeah.
whoa.
You're learning to listen to your body or not.
Yes, yeah. And it was still really tasty.
Yeah. And I mean, we're only human, so like we're gonna make mistakes. That's the reality of life, and that's I think that's why it's so important to be open and honest about this kind of stuff. Because if you're sitting there experiencing what Maree and I have just described, either or, and you're like, oh, I thought I was the only one going through that. I thought I was dying. I thought I was hungover and I only had one glass of drink or whatever it is. You're not alone, and that's what this podcast is all about. It's around sharing the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all the stuff that I sometimes get to chat about in 60s Club, and other times it's just we don't have time. We don't have time to chat about all the things all the time, and so that's what this podcast is about: is a chance for Maree and I, because we can talk, to get together and just talk about the randomness that is post-op life. Um, did you see the post I put in the club, Maree, around insulin resistance?
I saw that you had posted one. I have not actually
Yeah,
seen it. I was busy looking
yeah.
at the
So
other things. I got a bit distracted on some of the other posts.
fair enough. There's so much in there. For those of you listening that aren't in the club, we just launched an app for our Success Club members where everything is all in one place and all the resources are there, and it's so exciting. And so everyone's just slowly looking at everything they've already pre-populated in there. But yeah, there's lots of stuff. But I just posted the other day around insulin resistance. So I was doing a bit of research because it is reasonably well known that uh, people who end up obese, there's a good proportion of people that are actually insulin resistant. And so I put a post in there because I was like, well, actually, I went down the rabbit hole of looking more into it because I deal with it, but at a very superficial level. But I wanted to know a little bit more around how it actually affects the body metabolically and just how we can kind of mitigate it a little bit or make change or just get people on track. And for those of you that don't know, insulin resistance it's not diabetes, but it is almost a kind of form of diabetes. I think is the easiest way to describe it. It's basically your body's inability to move glucose, which is sugar, from your bloodstream into your cells. And basically, it comes down to when glucose, so your body needs sugar or glucose to move into your cells for energy. And so basically, that has to happen. But how that happens is kind of almost like a lock and key system. So your glucose and your insulin, which is produced by your pancreas, kind of connect together. And then that is what helps move it through the cell wall at a very basic anatomy level. Um, and so we need to have insulin. But what happens is, particularly people who are overweight or eating really high volumes of sugar, is your body gets used to producing higher amounts of insulin because it needs it to move through into the cells. And unfortunately, as your diet changes or you might have polycystic ovaries or other hormonal fluctuations and stuff that's feeding into this. But basically, as that changes, your your pancreas might continue to produce insulin, whereas your glucose levels may drop off, or anatomically something happens in those cell membranes that causes them not to, the insulin and the glucose not to move through as well. And so that kind of at a crux what insulin resistance is. And so looking at that and being like, well, that's going to impact your weight, absolutely. And so how do we overcome that, Maree, right? And even, even if you don't know that you've got insulin resistance, it's really good to understand this because you potentially may have it, or you might not. And but anything that you do is going to really help. So it's really looking at how often you're eating, what's the quality of the meals that you're eating, and how we make dietary adjustments to promote that kind of communication between your cells and that insulin and glucose. But yeah, there's a whole lot of science, and I put it into a post, so I was interested in feedback. But you haven't read it, so that's but yeah, for those of you, that's kind of just a general little rundown around insulin resistance. But yeah, so there'll be more to come probably when I keep going down the rabbit hole of that stuff. But it's very interesting, and I'd say a good chunk of our community struggles with insulin resistance, which makes sense, right? From an anatomy point of view, like, yeah, I wouldn't say thrashed our bodies, but even like metabolically, like our metabolism after surgery has changed. And that's actually another post I'm going to put in, is around how basically if you start under eating, you start destroying your metabolism. And so that's effectively what happens after surgery. So you have this huge period of restriction and your metabolism goes, what? And so what we need to do is get your metabolism back and in balance, because it's kind of like being on almost like a tightrope or a seesaw, because like everything, it's all interconnected. But when your metabolism is out, that can lead to overeating, or undereating can cause your metabolism your body to store weight or store fat. All of these things all kind of feed into that, and I don't think it's spoken about enough around the impact on our metabolism. And even I think to an extent, when you truly think about how the body works, right? If your gut is all inflamed and you haven't got great gut health, then of course that's going to impact your metabolism, right? Because your body doesn't know what to do. It's like, I've got all this, it's kind of, when you think about inflammation, it's almost like little fires going on through your whole body. And whether or not you can feel them or not, your body is responding as the little firefighters trying to go put that out. Or but equally, inflammation serves a purpose in our body. So inflammation is literally our immune system coming to act in a space so where it perceives as a threat. And so that's all your macrophages, all your white blood cells, everything. If you were to get your full blood count, or FBC, if people might know it as that, when you get your blood test, anything that shows up on there is pretty much your cellular health. So everything that's in your blood. And then there's other tests that you can do, like kidney function and all that stuff. But the crux of it, like your immune system and stuff, is your white blood cells, your macrophages, I don't know what else is actually in those blood tests off the top of my head, but a lot of them, when you actually look at them, they are actually just your immune system and inflammation markers. So CRP is just a really good general inflammation marker assessment. So they can be like, oh, something is going on. And then it's trying to work out what, which is probably the $1 million question most of the time when we say. But yeah, so it's really interesting how all of this actually is hand in hand with everything that we do. And so I think that's a really big part of what we do in Success Club, right, Maree, is we break down the understanding. So what is actually going on in my body? Why does everything feel hard? I think our health system's done a really good job. I say good, at separating mental health and physical health. But the reality is, if you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed or depressed or anything like that, that's going to take a huge physical impact on your health. And vice versa, if your physical health is poor, that's going to impact your mental health. Because you know what? We're one human. Like, we're one thing. It's not actually this and this. It's this. We are one being. And so our health system's broken it down into all these compartments because it's easier. It's much like, I don't know if you've had much engagement in the healthcare system, Maree, but you know, when you have a condition and they're like, you've got to see a specialist for this. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, if you just looked at all the symptoms instead of sending me to, I had a sore throat, so I have to go to ear, nose, and throat, but also have a sore tummy, so you need to go to gastro team. And also, I've got some pins and needles in my feet. Also, you need to go to neurology for that. It's like, well, maybe this is a one thing. Maybe it's
Yeah.
all connected.
But remember, before that, they will tell you to lose weight.
Yeah.
Before surgery. So that's usually the
Oh
first
my
thing. So
gosh.
it takes even a while to even get to any specialist.
Yeah, and yeah, and you need to lose weight. And how you do that is you just need to eat less and move more.
Yes. Yeah. Easy peasy,
Guys, I'm
right?
being sarcastic. Just so
Yeah.
you know, if you can't see me, I'm being sarcastic. I don't know how many times I hear it from colleagues, like, and you're like, yeah, that's cool in theory, but that's not why people are eating.
Crazy,
Because
eh?
if I could do that, I would. I wouldn't have needed surgery because if I could, I mean, I got to some of my highest weight when I was ward nursing. I was running around for 8 hours a shift. So you can't tell me that I needed to move more. Like when what? I don't know how many thousand steps I was doing because I didn't carry a pedometer, but big days. Like you're constantly just going in and out of patients' rooms and doing medication and moving stuff and all the things. So what? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just wild. It's absolutely wild, some of the advice. And I hope it's getting better. I'd like to think it's getting better, but probably not because we have an aging healthcare medical professionals. That did not make sense. We have an aging population of medical professionals. So the reality is a lot of them will still be stuck in what they learn. And that's okay. But that's not the reality when you actually look at obesity and metabolic disorders. Actually, there's so much more to it. It's so much more complicated. And we're trying to bridge the gap with that, right, Maree? Like that is what we're doing in Success Club. And I was just saying when we jumped onto this call, how cool it was actually last night listening to our members share how much their mindset has changed, how they're just thriving and putting all the things in place in their life. And it makes me so happy. It makes me really proud actually, because I mean, like any teacher, I can teach you the things, I can show you the things, I can give you the tools to put in place. But you've actually got to do it, right?
Mm.
And there's a good couple of members on the team as well, including you, Maree, who actually are making huge strides in your personal life just by using the tools that's given to you. You know, I think probably at the crux of it, it's learning to parent yourself, right?
Yeah. It's so interesting though, like seeing how much of a difference it's making in people's lives and after not that much time. Like, and it's so inspiring to see, like to hear their stories and how people are changing the way that they're dealing with other stresses in their lives because like it's not the Success Club is not just about food and that part, which I think is what makes it so amazing, especially for me who's an emotional eater. Like I really notice even after surgery, if my mental health isn't great, I put on weight. That's just what happens. And so, since I've been in the Success Club, because that all of the tools and the strategies that I've learned in there, my mental health is the best it's actually ever been in my whole life. And then that has reflected on the scales. And I'm not even trying to do anything like this. I'm just living my life how I'm wanting to live. Not so much in the weekend, but that was a little bit rough. But just as a whole, I have no restrictions on anything. I'm still the lightest that I've ever been. I lost my regain, and I just feel amazing. I feel confident. I feel like I'm just such a different person than what I was like 4 months ago. So it's just crazy to think how quick it's been. So, and it's just amazing. And then to feel mentally strong is just so fantastic. Like, what an amazing feeling, right? Like, because life is amazing. And I just, yeah, feel really great. So, thank
And
you.
I hear, oh, you're welcome. That's a team effort. It's not just me. Um, I actually feel you there because for me, like having gone through my regain and re-lost it and getting back down to that kind of goal weight and just feeling like, oh wow, yes, it was challenging to get back there, but equally it feels good. And then doing much like the work that you did around, feeling comfortable at that, being comfortable at maintenance. But for me, like the coping skills, because guys, I literally teach what I am learning along this journey. So, I don't see myself on this big pedestal above everyone else. I literally am doing the work and I have the understanding and I'm sharing what I've learned. And I guess for me, my car blew up 2 weeks ago. And that's been such a huge stress. Like as a mum before, like wild, absolute wild, full on. Mentally, that gave me a really, really big knock because it's been so stressful. I was like, how am I going to get kids places? As a mum with disabilities as well, like the idea of having to walk everywhere or having to cycle or all of those things, I tried it, but the toll that took on my body is huge. And the reality for me was that that's not sustainable. So that was huge. It was a huge, huge stress, and I could feel myself, or the ADHD in me, but just spinning. But one thing I noticed that has been a huge change from where I originally was that my first instinct wasn't to reach for food. Um, and that was really cool because that takes lots of practice. That's not something that just happens straight away. And I don't promise anyone that joins the club that you're going to get that straight away because that would be very inauthentic of me. And I believe in authenticity, but it takes practice. And it was really cool to actually see that in action for myself to be like, wow, even a year ago, for me, that still would have probably tripped me up. I would have got back up and got back on track, but I still would have probably eaten my feelings, whereas I didn't. And for some of you, it's like, oh, transport, that's not a biggie. But for me, it felt like my whole world was kind of imploding um, because I guess I didn't realize how reliant I've been on getting places quite easily. And yeah, it made my world so much smaller. And it makes me appreciate the privilege that I have and being able to have a vehicle, 100%. And it's still not over because they still haven't fixed it or anything, but we ended up buying a second vehicle. Um, but yeah, from the standpoint of who I am, probably back in the day, I would have started, as soon as something like that happened, I probably would have started blaming myself. What did I do? I'm not enough. I'm useless. And then equally, when I physically knew that getting places was going to be challenging, again, that self hatred, that self infliction of, oh, you're not good enough, so you're useless, that blah, 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 blah. I say blah, blah, blah because I don't want to give those thoughts any more heed than they need to have, right? Because that's not who I am. That's not who I identify as. And so, I think learning to give yourself grace is huge. And but yeah, it was just kind of a very big wow moment to know that I didn't even reach for the stuff. I didn't even feel the need. Yeah, the stress was huge, but the reality for me was I didn't need food as a coping tool anymore. So how good, how exciting. So
Right,
that's
that's so amazing.
no, it's possible, guys. No, it is possible. And yeah, it just takes work, takes practice, and it takes showing up to the club, right, Maree? Like I
Yes.
have been loving 5 sessions a week with Success Club. Um, and I almost kind of miss it on the days that we don't have club because I'm like, where is the people? Where are you all?
Yeah.
So really, I value knowing what's going on in people's lives and supporting them. And we had one of the members got married the other day, and that was really cool. And yeah, it's just really, really rewarding. And yeah, you're right. We do so much more than just look at your food. Um,
It's
it's
such
so
a
much.
small part, actually, to be fair, the actual food, which I think is really awesome because that's not what the problem is. Like, so I don't even think about what I'm eating, really, like I know my main things, but it's because I just feel so amazing mentally. And I think, like the fact that you even share things yourself that you're going through as well, it just helps people relate, like, because we are all sharing, like the fact that we can all be so vulnerable in that safe, supportive environment, it just is so amazing, and just like you said, having it 5 days a week, it's so fantastic. And that's what keeps us on track. And even, when we were closed over the Christmas New Year break, we're not closed, but we weren't having the meetings. Um,
Yeah.
we knew that everybody was still available, on our private chats. But also we had gained so many of our tools and that support and the strategies that, we were able
I
to
don't
get
think there
through.
was anyone that really came through Christmas and went, "Oh man, that was the worst time ever."
No,
Do you remember? No.
no, it was, yeah. And I think it's just, everybody though puts in the work and you've got to put in the work. So nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So you can't like think I'm gonna turn up and then not turn up and then expect changes. Like that's just not how it works. But if you put in the effort and be vulnerable, which can be quite hard, right? Like I've really shared quite stuff that I never would have, like going 6 months ago. I never would have told really anybody, and I'm able to. And then, but it gets it out of my head, and and then the next day it's changed. Whereas previously it would just be in my head, just ruminating over and over and over, and then I would have gone food. So that's exactly what my cycle was. But now I'm actually being brave and sharing it. And I'm never judged at all. Like there's never nobody has ever judged anybody at all on any of the meetings I've gone to, which is amazing. And I can read people just like you can, but so I know that nobody's judging, because of that. Like everybody is so supportive. And then when you hear other people's stories, like sometimes you've been through it and so then you can offer advice, but sometimes you haven't and then for if it comes up, like, and it's just so fantastic. It's that whole sharing knowledge, like, so I very much believe knowledge is power. So this is where you're getting all that knowledge. I just love it. I'm all for it.
I love it too. And I think, it can be intimidating coming into a group setting. But when you realize that these are your people, that's when it kind of changes because, again, there is no judgment like that. They're so far from the culture that we've created
Mm.
because I don't want that. I don't want it to be like any other toxic Facebook group.
Yes.
Because, also, if you got it all together, you wouldn't be working with me, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's the reality. And I would say that most people haven't got it together. They might look like it from the outside, but they haven't. And that's why I'm so open and honest about my stuff as well, because there's no use in pretending that I'm perfect. Because that doesn't serve anybody. That's so inauthentic, and yeah, it just doesn't make for your reality and for making you feel good about yourself. It
Mm.
really just enables you to pretend and put your head in the sand, and that's so real. Like I say, that's why probably 60% of people that reach out don't end up doing anything is because it's easier to just pretend that your
Mm.
eating habits aren't impacting your life. It's easier to pretend that your eating habits aren't causing you to hate yourself.
Mm.
And I haven't yet met a person who's joined Success Club or joined any of our work that has been like, you know what, I hate myself more.
Yeah.
because because it's just not who you'll become. And I think, if 2026 is the year for you, if you do nothing else, find out who you are. Find out how you can live your life in a way that serves you and gets you where you want to go, rather than just kind of repeating the same cycle over and over and hoping for a different outcome, right?
Mm.
Because I think that's a big one in the club is we talk around outcomes. Like, what do you actually want? Not, what what are you stuck in? Like, what do you actually want? Because we can get there. We
Mhm.
can't get there if you just stuck in the I've been doing this over and over and this is me. Because this is me is not true.
No.
Because humans are malleable. Humans can change. Um, Change requires effort and it requires drive. Don't get me wrong, but it is not the way you have to be. And if you accept it, you're accepting that this is your foot in life, and you know what, the success of it's probably not for you if
Mhm.
that's where you're going to land. Because we mentor and we coach women and men who actually want something different, who are striving to be the most amazing version of themselves. And I look at food diaries all the time, but the reality is that I'm not actually overly going to critique your food diary. I'm not actually overly going to tweak your lifestyle, but we're going to make it work better for you. And so it could be a simple switch out of foods that you're eating. It could be that you just actually start to learn to love yourself again. because I reckon that there's a huge correlation between loving yourself, which is what this month actually in 60s Club is all around, self-love, because it's Valentine's Day on the weekend. But equally, like learning to love yourself, but equally learning to trust yourself, right? Because if you don't trust yourself, you're going to sabotage yourself at every bloody corner you go around.
It's but the other thing though, just going back to the Success Club, that's awesome is that everybody is treated so individually because we all have different goals. And so like that's what's so amazing. Like there's no cookie cutter for everybody. Everybody doesn't have to drink 2 liters of water because that's not realistic for everybody. Everybody doesn't, like it's really individualized and we all celebrate each other's wins. I just love it, honestly. It's pretty amazing.
And I'm ready for every session, which is like, then what are we doing?
Yeah.
And it's so good. So good.
But that self-love though is such a huge thing. And I think that because my confidence has changed so much and I like really love myself and I feel so much more confident. Like I'm now an aqua aerobics instructor and then I'm trusting my body to go to a low impact aerobics class straight after and I'm like, yes, my body can do that. Like how amazing is that? Like, and there's just no way that I would have done that. Yeah, 4 months ago, I just wouldn't have. So it's
you blow my mind every day by how you put yourself first and forward into your life. And it's not that you're saying yes to experiences that you don't want to do either. It's actually you're choosing what you want to do, where you want to spend your energy, and actually prioritizing you. So I love that so much.
Yes, and I'm also though sharing the bad stuff, like I'm not hiding it. Like, yesterday in Success Club, I mentioned the dumping in the weekend because that was what I went through in the weekend. Like, I wasn't like, oh, it's all so great, everything was amazing because it wasn't. I was on the couch for most of that whole weekend. It was rough, and I shared that, and there was no judgment. Like, people were like, yep, we get it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Success Club, if you need to kick out the bum, we're gonna give it to you. Like we're not gonna tolerate your excuses for the fact that you're just trying to make an excuse. So be aware. How clients in the past, how they describe me, Kieran's got a really good one for me. But it's basically like I'm brutally honest, like it's almost like a sandwich, right? Like brutally honest, surrounded by love. And so, you are going to get the real truth from me. But I'm only going to call you out if you're ready to hear it. And I think that's important to know. Like, and everything that I do say, always comes from a place of love. I am not out here being a drill sergeant, but I am going to call you up if you're making excuses for yourself because you're not going to grow unless you realize and hear what you're saying to yourself. Because at the end of the day, there's no skin off my back. If you don't want to make the changes in your life, then that's on you. But it equally isn't going to lead you to the place that I would love to see you at. And, Maree, you're doing amazing with that. And I'm so proud. And I think we've got such a great little cohort at the moment in the club who just are making huge strides because they're ready, which is so cool. And I can only see it growing this year into some amazing new people. And maybe if you're listening to this, maybe that's you. And we would absolutely love to have you part of our family. We were talking about going to the Chatham Islands last night. I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But maybe we could organise a retreat to the Chatham Islands.
With my list that I'll be taking.
Yeah, with stuff, all stuff. But I'm not going in a dinghy, just saying.
Yeah.
At least taking a plane,
Yes,
probably a plane. But yeah, we are also looking at having a retreat this year as well, so that is going to be fun. And sounds like the whole team's going to be there, so that'll be awesome. So yeah, watch this space if you are interested in joining us on the retreat. I think I was mulling over what we're going to kind of be covering in the retreat, and I think it's going to be more advanced mindset space. Because I think that's really going to be valuable. So in the club, we also do like fundamentals around like getting the basics nailed, and then we have Kim who sets out personalized workout plans for you. We do a nutritional plan, meal plan, we do Mindset Monday, where Robin and myself kind of take you through lots of different mindset ways of being. There's so many options. So we have the time, but we don't have the time to do everything. And so I think, having a weekend of kind of really doing a deeper dive is going to be really, really cool for our clients and potentially some others. We will see. But it's going to be very exclusive because we want to work with the people who are ready to start making some amazing changes in their life. So that is going to be very cool. And yeah, what else do we do? Accountability and check-ins on a Friday, which is really nice, just to end the week and celebrate what you've done well this week and kind of plan out what's going to happen next week. So I think that's a really good structure. And then Wednesdays we do nutrition, which is very informal in terms of I don't have a lot planned in our nutrition sessions, but they are very much around, help me troubleshoot what's going on, what could I change some things out for, what food is going to make me feel well and give me the energy that I need, all those kind of things. Maree, what's one of your favorite takeaways that you've had from Success Club in the 4 months that you've been in?
I think the day that I love the most is a mindset day. And I think that's because that for me is the biggest thing, especially with being an emotional eater. I think what I have learned about myself, through being vulnerable, through really, and, I will keep mentioning, which was one that you kind of made me keep, digging a little bit deeper, and then there was the fact of the fear that I had of being in maintenance, because of my whole life I'd never been in maintenance, and then because I could talk that through, and so that was in my head a bit, but not really that whole part of it. And then the next day it was just so different, and it was really that language, and so that's one of those things, that was in Success Factor. So that would the Success Club, that would be my biggest one, I think, because but being brave enough to share my vulnerability in a group and feel safe, and I did feel safe, like, because I never would do it if I didn't feel safe, but that would be it. But I do love the mindset days. They are definitely what my favorite ones. But I will also mention that even though we have these things every day, I am so terrible, not terrible, but I will always ask whatever I want on any of those days, even if it's not the theme, and it's really great because they always get answered. So we don't have to stick to the theme, just saying to everybody. We do, any questions that come up from anybody get asked, so, which I love as well, because things come up. I don't want to wait a whole week to ask something about a certain, like movement one. I can just ask on any single day. The day that I remember is usually the one.
Yeah. And also within the app as well now, it's going to be a game changer for that, because you'll be able to chuck specific questions into there and Kim will be able to answer, and vice versa. So I've kind of done little areas for each of the kind of topics that we cover, so that, hopefully there's a resource in there already, or if not, I will endeavour to make them. So it is, it's actually amazing what's in this app. It blows my mind because I'm such an ideas person, right? So I'm like, oh, that should go on the app. Oh, that should go on the app. So yeah, and then we're working on like food logs and vitamin tracking and plate reading as well, where you can just use AI to scan your plate and see if you nail it. And that's not to make you feel bad either. That's just a tool. They're all tools. But yeah, so we're working on building that side of things out as well. So that's going to be very exciting. Yeah. I know. But the feedback so far from the app, that I literally launched it on Friday, so not even a week ago, is that everyone's loving it. So that is great. That's great news for me, because I put a lot of time and effort into it, so I wanted it to be good. But yeah, so we're full steam ahead into 2026 for Lauren Pete Bariatric Coaching. And it's going to be an amazing one, I reckon. And Maree's going to jump from win to win, and I am hopefully going to get my car back.
Yes, make it fast.
Yeah, I'm going to ring them again today. I rang them yesterday. Honestly, but yeah, it's been absolutely wonderful to chat with you all for the last 50 minutes or so. But if you are interested in joining Success Club or have any questions around Success Club, you can absolutely jump on a call with Maree and she will chat you through all things the club or one-on-one coaching, whatever suits you. And yes, it can be daunting coming into a group setting, but honestly, like Maree said, it is such a safe, beautiful space for you to be. But yeah, if you need help with that mindset work, if you like the sounds of what we're doing inside Success Club and all the wins that we are having, then absolutely. And do you notice we didn't even talk about weight once on this episode when we're talking about Success Club? But we have clients losing lots of weight over again and all sorts. So, that proof is in the pudding. Like, people are there, they're showing up for themselves, and they are actually making life-changing changes to their life. And weight is kind of not really part of our identities anymore, which is awesome. So yeah, please do get in touch. I'll check the link below for booking with Maree. And other than that, we will catch you in the next episode. So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Bye.